The Union research vessel Corinthia was large too large for any single species to claim. It floated silently in deep space, where stars were distant and quiet inside. Many beings from across the galaxy worked together: humans, Veari, Gerlans, and even the silent Vatun. It was called a place of peace. But peace didn't mean there were no secrets. Dorian Rell, a human systems engineer, walked the wide metal halls with a small tablet in his hand. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a spy. He fixed systems, ran checks, and made sure nothing exploded or shut down. But even in such a peaceful place, sometimes things didn't feel right. Dorian had noticed it a few weeks ago. One corridor, sealed with heavy Veari locks, didn't match the rest of the ship. It had no number, no destination. When he asked his co-workers about it, they gave strange answers. Not part of your work zone. Maybe ask the command AI. Leave that to the aliens. He had stopped asking. That's when she started showing up. Her name was Scifi. She was very tall, graceful, with smooth violet skin that shimmered faintly under the station's lights. Her eyes were soft but sharp, like she could see something behind your words. She spoke in clear English, with a musical tone that didn't quite match her serious face. "I need help with my console," she had said the first time. "It's not responding." Dorian had followed her to the lab. Everything worked fine. No problems. But she thanked him anyway and stayed to talk. Then she came again the next day, and the next. Each visit, she brought a new excuse: sensor glitch, power dip, interface lag. But Dorian started to feel something strange. It wasn't about the machines. She was watching him, testing him. One day, she asked him, "Do you ever feel this place is too quiet?" He nodded. "Sometimes it feels like we're guests in a house that's not really ours." She smiled then. Not a big smile, just a small one, as if he had passed a test. That afternoon, Scifi appeared at his workstation without warning. She didn't say much, just, "Come with me." Then she turned and walked, expecting him to follow. Dorian hesitated only for a second before going after her. She led him through sections of the ship he had never seen, past storage bays, sealed science labs, and into an older part of the vessel. The lights were dimmer here. Dust hung in the air, which was strange because the air filters were always working. They stopped in front of a thick, smooth metal door. No label, no signs, no access panel. She turned to him. "You wait here. Do not come inside. Do not look." Then she stepped toward the door. It opened soundlessly, like it was alive. She disappeared inside. The door did not close fully. It stayed slightly open, maybe 2 inches, just enough to see a faint blue light coming from inside. Dorian stared at it. He knew he should turn away, go back, respect her words. But something inside pulled at him. Not curiosity, something else, something colder. He leaned closer. Inside, he heard a sound, breathing. Not Scifi's, it was deeper, rougher, like a wild animal just barely asleep. There was a low hum, too, like an engine running far below the floor. Then a whisper. That said his name, Dorian. He jumped back. No one else was in the hallway. The sound came from behind the door. Before he could do anything, Scifi returned. She stepped out calmly, closing the door behind her with a soft wave of her hand. It sealed completely this time. She looked at him. "You didn't look, did you?" He opened his mouth, then closed it. He wasn't sure what to say. She gave a quiet nod. "Good." Then she walked away without another word. That night, Dorian couldn't sleep. His room was quiet, but his mind wasn't. He kept thinking about the door, the hum, the whisper. He turned on his tablet and pulled up the station's maintenance logs. He entered the time and location where he followed Scifi. Nothing. No door open at that time. No logs. No power used, as if the door didn't exist. He tried the internal sensors. Still nothing. But Dorian knew what he saw and what he heard. He played back the audio from his body cam. He always wore one for work standard protocol. He listened. The hallway sounds were clear: his footsteps, Scifi's voice, the soft hum. Then, at the exact moment the door opened, silence, The recording cut out for 10 seconds. It restarted only when Salieri stepped back out. A perfect gap. His skin prickled. The next morning, Dorian returned to his routine. He didn't speak about the door. He didn't ask about the missing data. But Salieri came again, as if nothing had happened. She brought another broken panel. Again, nothing was wrong. She watched him while he worked. "Did you sleep well?" she asked. "Not really." "I did," she said, then paused. Some things are easier to carry when someone else sees part of them. Dorian looked up. "Is that what you wanted? For me to see part of it?" Salieri tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "I told you not to look, but I left the door open, didn't I?" He didn't answer. "You're not like the others," she said softly. "You notice things. You ask questions. Maybe that's dangerous. Maybe that's why I asked you to come." She turned and left again. And again. The door didn't fully close. Dorian Rell couldn't stop thinking about that door. He kept trying to do his normal tasks, checking coolant levels, running diagnostics on power lines, adjusting pressure valves, but his mind stayed stuck on that moment. The hum, the whisper, the strange silence in the recording. And Salieri's words, "I told you not to look. But I left the door open, didn't I?" It didn't make sense. Why would she bring him there? Why say not to look and then leave the door slightly open? It felt like a test, or maybe a message. He went back to the security logs again. This time, he used a hidden diagnostic tool, something only engineers like him had access to. He scanned for energy readings, temperature changes, pressure shifts, anything that could prove the door open. Nothing. It was like the hallway had frozen in time. The 10 seconds when the door opened were completely blank. He looked around, nervous. If someone found out he was doing this, it could be trouble. But then something strange happened. As he sat at his console, his screen flickered just for a second and a word appeared in the middle of the screen. "Why?" Then it vanished. He tapped the keys, ran a systems check. No bugs, no glitches. His tablet was clean. But he knew what he saw. Later that night, he tried to rest. His room was dark, the lights dimmed, but sleep didn't come. Instead, the whisper came again. "Dorian." He sat up in bed, heart racing. He looked around. No one was there. The door was locked, but the voice felt close, like it came from inside the walls. He turned on the lights. The whisper stopped. The next day, he saw Salieri again in the hallway. She didn't smile this time. Her face was calm, but her eyes looked tired, like she hadn't slept either. "You felt it, didn't you?" she asked softly. He paused. The voice. She nodded. "It speaks to those it remembers." "Who's it? What's behind that door?" Salieri looked around. The hallway was empty, but she still leaned closer. "I can't tell you everything. Not yet, but you need to understand something. That door doesn't open for most people. The ones who hear the voice. They've been chosen. Chosen for what?" She didn't answer that. Instead, she said, "Come with me." Just once more, Dorian followed her again through the lower decks, into that silent part of the ship. The corridor still looked the same, old, strange, untouched by years of updates. She stopped in front of the same door. "I'm not going in this time," she said. "You're not. You are." He stepped back. "What if I don't want to?" "You wouldn't have followed me if you didn't want to know." Dorian stared at the door. His chest felt tight. He remembered the whisper, the silence in the logs, the word on his screen. He stepped forward. The door opened on its own, smooth and quiet. Inside was a long hallway, darker than before, lit by a soft blue light. He looked back at Salieri. "Whatever you see," she said, "don't be afraid. It's part of you now." He walked in. The door closed behind him, but not fully. Just like before, it stayed slightly open. The hallway stretched ahead, ending at a round chamber. The walls shimmered like water. At the center floated a pod, oval-shaped, clear, humming with energy. Inside the pod was a person, or something close. It was a man. Human-looking, pale skin, eyes closed, but there was something different. His hair was silver white, though he looked young. His chest rose and fell slowly, as if he was dreaming. Dorian stepped closer. Suddenly, the lights dimmed, and a soft pulse of sound moved through the room. Thump, thump, thump. Like a heartbeat. Then the voice came not from outside, but inside Dorian's mind. You came back. He froze. The voice wasn't Solari's. It wasn't his own. It was something older, deeper. But it didn't feel dangerous. It felt familiar. Who are you? Dorian whispered. I am what could be. I am what was taken. Then the image. Inside the pod changed. The man's face shifted. For a second, it looked exactly like Dorian. Same eyes, same features. He stumbled back, heart pounding. The voice continued. I carry your code, your pattern. You were the first. You were the seed. Dorian didn't understand. What was this thing saying? His code, his pattern. Was this some kind of clone? The hum grew louder, and a soft light appeared above the pod. It showed scenes, images from Earth. A young Dorian as a child. Dorian working in a lab. Even Dorian eating lunch in the cafeteria 2 days ago. How do you know these? He asked. I remember what you forget. I see what you can't. The images changed. Now they showed stars. Alien cities. VR technology. A future or a dream. In one vision, Dorian stood beside Solari, their hands over a glowing table. Behind them stood others, humans and VR together, working as one. Then it faded. The hum stopped. The pod sealed shut again, and the lights returned to normal. Dorian stood in silence, shaken. He didn't feel fear now, just weight, like something heavy had been placed inside his mind. When he stepped back into the hallway, Solari was waiting. You saw him. He nodded. It looked like me. He is not you, but he was made from you. Why? Because your DNA had the pattern, the right frequency. We've searched for decades. Not everyone has it, but you do. Dorian frowned. What is he? A bridge. To what? Solari's eyes were soft again. To peace. As they walked back toward the main levels of the ship, Dorian asked her, why hide him? Why keep the secret? She looked ahead. Because most people aren't ready to see what we're building. They fear what they don't understand, and we can't afford fear right now. Then why show me? Because you listened when others didn't. You looked when others looked away. And because, she paused, he remembers you, Dorian. Stop walking. That's why I heard my name, he said. Solari nodded. And now, he hears you too. For the next 2 days, Dorian barely spoke to anyone. He still worked his normal shifts, still ran his tools, still nodded at passing officers, but his thoughts were far from routine. The image inside the chamber, the being in the pod, it haunted him. He had seen it clearly. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't just a clone. It was alive. And more than that, it seemed aware of him, connected. It had spoken in his mind, shown him dreams, echoes of a future he didn't understand. And then there was Solari. She had known it all, guided him toward it, never forced him, never pushed him, just opened the door. He didn't know what scared him more, the thing inside the pod or the fact that he wanted to see it again. Later that evening, he sat in his private quarters. The lights were off. The only glow came from his tablet screen, where he was looking at restricted maps of the ship. He had tried to find the hidden chamber, but it still didn't appear on any files. There were no blueprints, no energy records, not even a temperature reading. It was like the place didn't exist, but he had been there. That meant something. His fingers tapped the edge of the tablet. Should he report it? Bring it to command. That was the proper thing to do. But what if they shut it down? What if they erased it? The door chime buzzed softly. Dorian looked up, surprised. He hadn't ordered anything. No one usually visited him this late. He opened the door. It was Solari. Her expression was serious. Her hands were behind her back, and she looked as calm as always. But Dorian noticed something different in her eyes, urgency. We need to talk, she said. He nodded and stepped aside. She entered the room, standing near the wall where a soft panel light glowed. There isn't much time, she said. They're watching the sector now. Too many eyes, too many questions. Who's watching? The High Council, she replied. The Vayari leaders. They don't want any humans near the lower wing. They think the Unity Project is too risky. Unity Project, Dorian repeated. That's what this is called. She nodded. And what is it really? He asked. Tell me everything. Solaire was quiet for a moment. Then she sat down. Our people. We're fading, she said. Not dying. Just losing something. Our connection to the frequencies that keep us alive. Veari bodies were once tuned to the ancient harmonics of our homeworld. But we left it long ago. We live in metal now. In cold space. Dorian listened closely. But humans, she continued, still carry something. Something natural. Hidden in your genes. It's like music, something we can't make anymore. But still need. He frowned. So you took DNA. From me? Not without reason, she said. You gave a sample years ago for basic clearance. We analyzed all crew data, searching for a match. You had it, the correct pattern. Not just biological but emotional. Memory-based, weight emotional. Solaire nodded. Your mind carries a unique structure. It allows deep bonding, strong empathy. Most species don't form connections like humans do. Dorian didn't know how to feel. It was strange to hear himself described like that, like a tool, like a piece of code. So you used me to make him. We didn't make him. We grew him, carefully, with memories, with silence, with care. That chamber is not just a pod. It's a learning cocoon. He looked away. And now what? Why show me all this? Because he's waking up, Solaire said. And he's asking for you. They walked in silence through the quiet sections of the ship. The crew was sleeping. Lights were low. Even the AI didn't speak. When they reached the familiar corridor, Solaire placed her hand on the wall. A soft ring of light appeared, and the hidden door opened. The same blue glow greeted them. The hum, the quiet. But this time, the chamber felt warmer. The being inside the pod was still. But his eyes were open now, pale silver, bright and clear. Dorian stepped forward, heart racing. He knows you, Solaire whispered. The voice came again inside. His mind, not spoken aloud. You returned. Yes, Dorian whispered back. Who are you? The reply was calm. I am the echo of your choice, the voice of what could be. Are you? Me? No. I am born from your path, but I walk. My own. Dorian stepped closer. The pod shifted slightly. Lights flickered across its surface. The figure inside looked peaceful but powerful. What do you want from me? Dorian asked. To finish the bridge. What bridge? Between fear and trust. Between alone and together. The lights around the pod grew brighter. Shapes floated in the air, images again. But not memories this time. Visions. Ships filled with both humans and Veari working together. A shared homeworld. A new station, built from parts of both cultures. A future. But it won't happen. The voice said softly, unless someone stands in the middle and chooses. Dorian turned to Solaire. Why me? She answered. Because the others won't. Listen. They follow rules. Orders. You listen to your heart. Dorian took a deep breath. He didn't feel ready. But maybe no one ever did. What do I need to do? He asked. She looked at him carefully. Help him finish forming. Join with his memory net. You'll share part of yourself. Not all just enough. Will it hurt? Solaire hesitated. It might feel strange, but you won't lose anything. You'll give and receive. Dorian looked at the being in the pod again. Its eyes didn't blink. They just watched, waiting. He stepped forward, reached out. The pod opened. As soon as his hand touched the light inside, a rush of emotion filled his body. Not pain, just feeling. Strong memories. His own, but also not his own. He saw Earth. His mother's voice. His first time fixing an engine. Then images he didn't recognize. Veari cities. Stars seen from a different kind of eye. Words in a language he didn't know, but somehow understood. He saw Solaire not as she was now, but younger. Alone. Looking out at a dying sun. Then it faded. Dorian pulled his hand back. He was shaking slightly. Solaire steadied him. It's done. The pod closed again. The being inside now looked calmer, sleeping. But this time, Dorian felt something else. A connection. A presence still inside him. Like a quiet thought at the edge of his mind. You're part of him now, Solaire said softly. And he's part of me. Dorian whispered. She nodded. Now, the real work begins. For the next few days, Dorian Ralph felt different. He still looked like himself. He still walked the same halls of the Corinthia. But deep inside, he knew something had changed. Ever since the link with the being inside the pod's echo, as Salieri called it, he had felt the connection. It was not loud. It didn't speak in full words anymore. But it was there, like a soft pulse under his thoughts. Sometimes, when he closed his eyes, he saw flashes. A planet with twin moons, a city made of stone and metal. Veari writing, moving across glowing walls, and always the sense of calm of belonging. He was no longer just Dorian. Salieri met him in a quiet lab on Deck 12, far from the other species. The room was filled with strange devices. Some looked like computers, others like musical instruments. A few floated silently in the air. She was standing near a long table with a holographic display. On it, two spheres spun slowly, one blue, one purple. They touched in the middle, creating a glowing bridge of light. This is the Unity protocol, she said. Dorian stared at the display. What does it do? It's more than a machine. It's a signal, a message to the galaxy. We've hidden it for years, waiting. Waiting for what? For someone like you, she said. And for him? She pressed a button. The image shifted. Now it showed a map of nearby sectors. At the center was the Corinthia. Around it were blinking points, ships, colonies, listening posts. If we activate the protocol, she continued, they will hear it. Humans, Veari, everyone. Dorian frowned. And then what? They will come. Some will want peace. Others will want to stop us. But they'll have to. See what we've made. Dorian turned away. His thoughts spun like the spheres on the screen. They won't all understand, he said. Some humans won't trust you. Some of your own people won't trust me. That's true, Salieri said. But we don't need everyone to understand. Just enough. That night, Dorian walked to the observation deck. The stars were brighter. Here, he stood alone, looking out at the void behind him. Quiet footsteps approached. It was Captain Renavale, the human commander of the Corinthia. She was older, sharp-eyed, and always calm. I've been watching your logs, she said. Dorian didn't turn around. I guess you would. You've been spending time in restricted zones. With Veari Tech, with her. He said nothing. I'm not here to punish you, the captain continued. But I need to know what's going on. This ship runs on trust, and right now, you're hiding something big. Dorian turned to face her. He looked tired, but sure, Captain, he said. What if I told you there's a way to end the fear between humans and the Veari? To build something better? She raised an eyebrow. I'd say you've been watching too many old Alliance speeches. He smiled slightly. Maybe. But this is real. She crossed her arms. Then prove it. The next morning, Dorian stood once more in the chamber of the pod. The being inside his echo was fully awake now. He didn't speak with words, but his eyes were alive, watching, knowing. Salieri placed her hands onto crystal-like panels at the side of the room. It's time, she said. Are you ready? Dorian nodded. A soft hum filled the chamber. The walls glowed. The pod opened. The being inside slowly stepped forward. His movements were smooth and careful, like someone walking for the first time. He looked at Dorian, and then at Saeli. No one spoke, but something passed between them, an understanding. Then, from the center of the room, a new light rose. It expanded upward like a tower made of sound and memory. The Unity protocol had begun. In the command deck, alarms beeped softly. Captain Rena watched the screen. A strange signal was moving outward from the lower decks. It wasn't dangerous, no weapons, no hack attempts, but it was powerful. What is this? Asked her science officer. I don't know, she replied. But I think we're about to find out. Across the galaxy, sensors lit up. In human colonies, on Veari world ships, in neutral listening posts. Everywhere, the same signal appeared, a pulse of sound, a wave of light, and a message. It had no words, just a feeling, unity, peace, memory. A mix of two cultures, human and Veari, woven together like music. The galaxy listened. Back in the chamber, The being stepped forward. He looked human, but there was something ancient in his eyes. He reached out and placed his hand on Dorian's shoulder. In that moment, something beautiful happened. A final surge of memory flowed between them. Dorian saw not just possible futures, but hope, families made of both species, ships built by mixed crews, children who laughed in both languages. He felt himself cry and didn't wipe the tears. Scifi touched his other shoulder. "You've done it," she whispered. The being stepped back. His eyes closed for a second. Then he opened them again, brighter now, clearer. He had fully become. Hours later, the ship was quiet again. But the galaxy was not. Messages flooded in. Some were questions. Some were warnings. Some were threats. But many were filled with wonder. From Earth. Who made this signal? From Veyari High Council. This is not authorized. From a small colony ship on the edge of the sector. We heard it. We understand. We support it. Dorian sat alone in the chamber. The being now called Varen, a name Scifi had chosen, stood silently by the wall, watching the stars. "We'll face trouble," Dorian said. Varen nodded. "But we'll also find others." He continued. "People who want peace. People who feel the same." Varen smiled, a soft, human smile. Scifi entered with a data pad. "The Council wants answers. The Human Alliance wants a meeting. They're coming." Dorian stood. "Then we'll meet them on the bridge." Captain Renna spoke to her crew. "This isn't what we expected," she said. "But it's what we've been given. We are now the center of something new. We'll protect this station. We'll protect the crew. And we'll protect this possibility." The crew nodded. Outside the ship, the stars remained the same. But inside, something had changed. A door had opened. And this time, it wasn't closing. The ship was no longer quiet. In the hours after the Unity protocol activated, Corinthia became the focus of the entire sector. Messages poured in from every direction, requests, warnings, threats, and questions. Some came from Earth, others from the Veyari High Council. A few came from unknown channels, marked only with symbols Dorian couldn't read. Dorian Rell stood by the large viewing panel, watching ships slowly approach. Most kept their distance, some circled. One held formation above the station like a silent judge. He turned to Scifi, entered the chamber, her face calm but her steps fast. "They're coming aboard," she said. "Who?" "The Veyari Council. 5 of them, and 1 human general." Dorian nodded slowly. "What do they want?" "They want to speak to Varen. And to you." The meeting room was large and cold. Plain walls, metal floor, bright lights overhead. At the center stood a circular table, split between 2 flags, 1 human, 1 Veyari. Dorian sat on one side. Scifi stood behind him. On the other side, the visitors arrived. First came the Veyari delegate stall, dressed in smooth robes that shimmered like water. Their expressions were hard to read. Then came General Cray, a human officer known for his strict tone and careful words. He glanced once at Dorian, then sat without speaking. A moment later, the door opened again. Varen stepped in. He looked peaceful, human in shape, Veyarian presence. His silver eyes scanned the room, and every being there went quiet. He sat beside Dorian. One of the Veyari elders spoke first. "You created this being without permission. You shared technology with humans. You violated the rules of both our kinds." Scifi answered calmly. "We shared life, not war, not weapons, just hope." General Cray leaned forward. "Is he dangerous?" Varen answered with his mind. The words were clear, gentle, and echoed inside every head in the room, only to fear. The room was silent. Dorian finally spoke. "He's not a weapon. He's a bridge. He remembers both of us. He dreams for both of us." Another elder leaned forward. "He should be studied, watched, controlled." Scifi shook her head. "He's not a subject. He's a being, a voice. He's the start of something new." Varen stood. "I did not ask for control. I asked for trust." After the meeting, Dorian walked through the halls with Scifi and Varen. The ship felt different now, no longer a research vessel. It had become a symbol, a place where change had begun. "They didn't say yes," Dorian said quietly. "They didn't say no. Solari replied. That's something. Varen added. His voice was quiet, but clear. Change always begins in silence. They reached the chamber again, the place where it had all started. Varen walked inside and stood before the pod, now empty. Soon others will come, he said. Some will be afraid. Some will want to stop this. We'll face them, Dorian said. Together, Solari added. Varen nodded. But we must give them more than words. We must show them something real. That evening, Varen asked Dorian to return to the chamber alone. The lights were low. The hum was soft. Dorian stepped inside. Varen stood at the center, looking up at a large circular panel in the ceiling. We are not done yet, he said. Dorian nodded. What do you need me to do? There is a gate, Varen explained. A memory gate. I was made to carry knowledge, but I need to pass it forward. To you, to me, you are the root. Varen said, the first path, I need you to carry it so others can follow. Dorian stepped closer. Will it change me? Only what you already are. The room changed. Lights above formed a dome. Patterns began to move across the wall, symbols, colors, shapes that danced like living thoughts. Varen raised his hand and placed it gently against Dorian's forehead. Suddenly, Dorian was somewhere else. He wasn't standing anymore. He was floating in memory, in time, in story. He saw a planet covered in blue grass. He saw Solari as a child, running through tall crystals. He saw ancient Veari traveling across the stars in ships powered by sound. He saw Earth as it once was green, full of life. He saw humans looking at the stars, wondering if they were alone. And he saw the Corinthia, spinning in space, becoming the center of something new. All of it flowed into him. Not heavy, not painful. Just true. When he opened his eyes again, Varen had stepped back. You carry the gate now, Varen said. Dorian nodded slowly. I felt it, all of it. You can share it with others. Let them see. He looked at Solari, who had been watching. Quietly, we can't turn back now, Dorian said. We were never meant to, she replied. In the days that followed, a message was prepared. Not just words, not just sound, but memory. Using Varen's code in Dorian's mind, they built a small crystal device, simple and beautiful. Anyone who touched it would feel the vision, the past, the dream of unity. They call it the first memory gate. They send it to Earth. They send it to the Veari Council. They send it to neutral worlds and far-off colonies. Some rejected it, some were afraid, but many accepted. And when they touched it, they saw not machines, not control, not war. They saw it being standing side by side. One human, one Veari. A door opened behind them. And beyond that door, peace. Weeks later, Dorian stood at the same door where everything had started. Solari walked beside him. They've started building a new station, she said. Together, humans and Veari. First time in history. Dorian smiled. They called it Harmony, fitting name. He looked at the door. You knew I would look, he said softly. She smiled. I left the door open on purpose. He turned to her. Do you think we're ready? We're learning, she said. That's a start. Varen appeared behind them, his steps quiet, his presence calm. The future is already listening, he said. Together, they stepped through the door, this time fully open and into the light beyond. The end.